Ladies and gentlemen, class begins now. All right, welcome back. Welcome back. Yes, that's right. We're about to have class today, and I expect 100% participation. You know what? Every time I hear that, watch my intro and listen to it, I don't know. I always feels like Donnie Simpson on BET when he comes out from the elevator, off the elevator. And he's just, kind of dancing and rocking or whatever. It is what it is. As you can tell, I'm kind of low of energy right now. It has been, it's been quite a few weeks over here for me, but it is what it is. Excuse me. I had uploaded this video 3 times, and each time I've uploaded the video, I quickly took it down. I don't know. I just didn't feel right. It was something about it. I was like, I don't know. I think it's because my approach with the video, I didn't take the same approach I had with the other members of En Vogue, Maxine, Terry, and Cindy. I didn't have that same approach. And so there I am. I'm saying to myself, like, okay, I know I'm going to put the video back up. And I was trying to have the approach that I'm talking about is the approach where I'm just kind of focusing only on Dawn, because that's the way I did the other ladies. I kind of focused on them for the most part. And I don't know, for whatever reason, when it comes to Dawn Robinson of En Vogue and speaking about her, for whatever reason, for me, I just cannot wrap around this story and have Dawn as an individual, person in all of this. Isn't that interesting? And it's because for such a long time, for Dawn Robinson, as she has come in and out of the group, she has the stigma that maybe she is the one that, it's all about her. It has to be about Dawn. It has to be about Dawn. You understand? But for whatever reason, when I think about this story, from what I've heard the other ladies of En Vogue talk about it, and believe you me, Terry and Cindy, as far as in public, has been tight-lipped for the most part. They have gone from being what you want to call it, taking the high road, if you will. And I always question people who say I'm taking the high road with this one. And for me, when they say I'm taking the high road with this one, it's meaning I could say some things, but I'm not going to. Or 2, I'm the problem, and I just don't want to talk about it, so I'm going to take the high road, But anywho, so. And also, too, for the most part, Max has been kind of tight-lipped as well, but also outspoken. Isn't it interesting now that I think about it? See, I never know where I'm going to go with these videos when I, talk about these things. But what I was about to say is interesting that Maxine of En Vogue has been the one who I've always said she never really talked much in interviews at all. I've never, I've never came across an interview where Max has said maybe 3 sentences, honestly. And then when she left En Vogue, and then she took him to court. Not court. She took him to court. Went as far as appeal. Now that says a lot, So anyway, I know I'm about to get sidetracked, and excuse me, y'all. I'm still trying to get over this cough. Yeah, I'm trying not to get sidetracked with this, and I want to stay focused, but we're going to talk a lot over here. This could be an hour video. This could be a 2-hour video. I don't know. But anywho, see, don't start. I think it's because, too, I just had something to drink, and I just turned my air off. I don't know. I think that's what it is, but I'm sorry. I hope I don't cough throughout this video and have to redo it again. I hope not. So kind of let me calm down a little bit. All right, so let's talk. In Vogue, I'm not going to focus solely on Dawn Robinson, but I'm going to talk about Dawn Robinson, okay? And with all due respect, I am going to talk a lot about the other ladies in this video, but I'm going to talk to you guys more about kind of how I see Dawn in the group In Vogue, the same way I did Terry, Cindy, and Maxine. All right, here you go. There's no question. If anybody questions this, then I don't know what to tell you. And that is, In Vogue definitely came out and they put all female groups to rest. They did. I've talked to you guys about that in previous videos. Go look them up. I've got a playlist. All you have to do is just type in Vogue and you can talk. We'll talk about In Vogue forever over here. Okay. It's enough material. Trust me about In Vogue. But they put the competitors to rest. Legendary competitors they put to rest, as well as those who were kind of like B and C list girl groups, and then new girl groups that were coming out at the time. As I said before, when In Vogue came out, when they released Hold On, and for sure by the time they released Lies, you didn't hear much of any girl groups at all. It's my theory the record companies went back to the drawing board and there was I think they got rid of all the girl groups that were out at the time, and they went in and tried to literally copy what Terry, Cindy, Dawn, and Maxine had, okay? So for me, when I first laid eyes on In Vogue, and here's one thing that could be kind of controversial when it comes to In Vogue. When I hear the song Hold On over the radio, I didn't think much about it. I was like, oh, okay, it's their song. Hold On, oh, it has the acapella, in the beginning of it. Okay. And then you hear it and you're like, oh, okay, it's a decent song. There's something about In Vogue when you see them. I don't know what it is, but you are definitely captivated, mesmerized by them. I think In Vogue is definitely a visual group. You have to hear them, smell them, taste them, touch them. It's just what it is. Like your senses kicks in when you see the ladies of In Vogue. I don't know. It's just awesome to see these four ladies together. And I think it has a lot to do with Diana Ross and Mary Wilson and Florence Ballard, Cindy Birdsong, all that stuff. Like, I think when you see the Supremes, it goes like, whoa, you go bananas. All right. And I think that's just what it was for these ladies. You have to see them. Okay. I'm going to talk about that. So now these ladies have come along, and we have four ladies in this group. Now, a lot of people in the beginning want to make us think that there was something fantastic about the ladies of In Vogue being a four female 4 females, and they all sing lead, and they were being billed as the Supremes of the 90s. Well, I'm here to tell you that was nothing new. I don't know why the media took it and ran with it, and everybody just ran with it and played with it, but that's totally was far from the truth, because you had the Pointer Sisters, right? And even though by then in the 80s you had June, Ruth, and Anita, those ladies sung lead on all of their songs. And not only that, they had another sister as well who sung with them. So we've seen this concept before. And I'm willing to bet that Tommy and Denny considered the Pointer Sisters when they was putting these ladies together. That's just my theory. I'm willing to bet that the Pointer Sisters did come up. Okay, as far as what worked and what didn't work. So there's nothing new about it. I think what was new, but yet still old, was the fact that these ladies sound so good together. I mean, they were well put together and they sound great. Okay, I'm going to have to vanish for a second. Hold on. So they sound good and they looked great together. I think that was one of the things that we liked about this group. Another thing that I think we liked about En Vogue was the fact that when we saw them and we saw how good they looked, another thing that we considered was the fact that they sound great and they also looked great, like it was pleasing to the eyes. Then we heard them sing. We saw them. Then we saw their look. Then we saw how they interacted with each other. Then we saw how they handled themselves in interviews. And as we seen all of these things happening, it was something that we hadn't seen in quite some time. And let's just be honest. I'm not being disrespectful, but honest. For a person such as myself, who's a big fan of the Pointer Sisters, you also have to think that, well, it's not that the Pointer Sisters are losing their momentum, but some will argue and say, well, they kind of did after, their breakout album, even though their album after that one was kind of successful for them. It was the one that was released on Motown that would tank in 1990. But by then, En Vogue was out. Like I said, En Vogue put all these girl groups to rest that were before them. And so we get this new phenomenon, but at the same time, it's old, because this acapella thing is like, it's old. We've heard acapella before, right? We've seen 4 girls before, but there was just something just so spectacular about these ladies. And I promise you, to this day, I cannot identify what it is. And if you guys know and can say what you think it is, then please, by all means, let me know. And I might say, oh, there it is. Like, I'm not being funny, I'm just going to say I'm going to say it. I have never heard anybody give Maxine Jones compliments about her vocals at all until I'm telling you it was me. I was the one who kept saying, and it's proof. I have video of it saying that it was Maxine. I kept trying to identify what it was that I was missing in Vogue when Dawn left. And I wasn't missing any vocals. I know this is going to sound hard for a lot of people to digest, even Dawn, but because, Dawn is, Dawn. It's not that we miss Dawn's vocals, which is probably the reason why Sylvia Wrong allegedly was like, oh, well, nobody's checking for Dawn. We're not missing Dawn, so on and so forth. Allegedly, y'all making me tired, so let me put the alleged button. But it's not that we missed Dawn's vocals. See, I'm going somewhere because it's still about Dawn. We missed Dawn's presence. That's what it was. We became so captivated by this awesome foursome that when we saw them down to, this threesome, we were like, See, people forgot or would do forget that we are also, people, that we pay attention to. It's the aesthetics, right? It's the visuals when it comes to En Vogue. So we missed her immediately after she left. When we didn't see Dawn anymore, when we didn't see this awesome foursome, when we didn't see the Fab Four or the original four, as some people call them, it just totally left us. I know I'm one of those individuals who, when I saw them come back out with Don't Let Go Love, I'm looking like, look at this. Like when you see these ladies of En Vogue in the Don't Let Go Love video, it's something about them. Still to this day, even when these ladies split up and come back together again, we go bananas. We do. And so we miss Dawn. So at the end of the day, we can put a lot of things to rest right now. Forget it. Forget how you feel about Dawn, period. Whether you think she can sing, whether you think that it's her fault that the group, went through its demise or what have you, forget how you feel. I'm here to say today, Dawn, we just miss you, baby. We miss you. I miss you. We all miss you in the group En Vogue. Forget about whether or not if you should sing lead on this song, if you should get paid this much and so on and so forth. Like Dawn she is terribly missed, okay, in En Vogue. And as I'm thinking about it, I'm going to go back to that comment I made about Maxine, but as I'm thinking about it, now I'm thinking about how groups get together, especially groups, sometimes an artist, an individual artist, right? A singer. Record companies already have that little map played out for them. You know what I'm saying? They're already thinking as they're getting ready to sign them, as they're thinking about signing them. They're already thinking about, we're going to make this person, this singer, the next this and the next this. Like we're going to go down this path with them, so on and so forth. And what you end up doing, record companies, managers, attorneys, all of that, you start to peel them apart, right? That's what you start doing, okay? And you're already setting them up for failure. You're setting them up to succeed and fail at the same time. That's what these record companies do. That's what all of them do. It's just what it is. So now that I'm thinking about it from a music industry standpoint, I would like to automatically think that when it comes to just any group or any singer, and let's just say the ladies of En Vogue, they probably had already planned who they wanted to do what, when, and how, and why. It's just what it is, whether they came to them, told them, or not. I think as soon as that record hit, Hold On hit, it was already probably divide and conquer. That's just how I'm seeing it. Because people are looking for who can we make lead? Who is the one who can stand out and eventually go solo? Who can do this, that, and the other? That's how it's just my opinion. All right. So now I'm going back to the comment. So I want to make sure that I finish the comment when I'm talking about, when I was talking about Maxine. I don't know anybody else for the most part except for Maxine. I remember Maxine saying that she was the one who was singing all the low stuff in the group, right? I didn't never think about anything other than that's how they positioned the group to sing, And it wasn't until I discovered, excuse me, that Maxine showed up with Kelly Clarkson, Rona Bennett, and Terry Ellis. But it was Maxine, Terry Ellis, and Rona Bennett. They were singing My Love and You're Never Gonna Get It on some kind of women's that rock show. I think it was on Lifetime or something years ago. And I knew En Vogue was going to be on the show. So, I was basically waiting, tuning in to hear them. And you don't see the ladies of En Vogue come out, you hear them. And when I heard the ladies of En Vogue sing, I'm like, that's them. You see what I'm saying? I'm like, that's them. That's that In Vogue sound. And so when Maxine shows up, I'm like, it's Maxine that we're missing vocally. It's what it is. You can say whatever you want to say about it. I'm the one who brought it up, and everybody now is starting to say, Maxine is the one who, everybody now giving Maxine compliments about her in her singing all the low stuff. It's what it is. Sometimes you got to take what you've done. I'm noticing out here in these YouTube streets now, people want to just take comments and then all of a sudden make it like they are the ones who came up with it. It's just a new attitude over here with me, so I don't care. And so I'm like, so Maxine is missing. So we're missing Dawn because of the visuals, is what it is. We, in our mind, we see four ladies. Forget what anybody else thinks. 2, we're missing Maxine because it's the visual and it's her vocals. No matter how, if they intended to do it or not, if they belittled her vocally and say, you can't do this, but you can do this, well, power to you, Maxine, because whatever you did it well. And you sound great doing it. We love it, right? And so what was made to make you feel bad, thank you. You took your lemons and you turned them into lemonade. Congratulations. So that's what we have here when I think about this In Vogue story now. Okay? All of these components of In Vogue. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this down even further to kind of give a take on, and some of these things have already been talked about before among other people, I'm sure. And so now what I'm going to do is now I'm going to start from when the ladies of In Vogue came out and what all of this kind of looks like and what Dawn's part in this is like and what Dawn has done since then. Oh, excuse me. So when the ladies of In Vogue came out with Hold On, you can look at the videos. It's out there. For a person such as myself, I would automatically go and say, you know what? Terry is the lead singer. I've said this before. But then once Terry switches up and it's Cindy, then you say, wait a minute, something is going on here. She's the lead singer in the group, lead in the group. Then you're like, no, it's Cindy. But then you probably think it's more of Cindy who is the lead in the group. And we're talking about, listen what I'm saying, I'm talking about the single alone. Forget about the whole makeup. We're breaking this down one thing at a time. So you're like, oh, but it's Cindy. Why would you say it's Cindy? She sung lead on the entire song for the most part. And we see Terry up front, passes the mic to Cindy. And where Cindy was is now where Terry is. I'm talking about in placement. Cindy was in the middle of Dawn and Max, right? Terry is up front. Now Terry is in the middle of Dawn and Max, and Cindy is up front. So for the most part, what you get is that your eyes, you're focusing on these two ladies and not so much Dawn and Maxine. You know 4 ladies are there. You know these 4 ladies look good together, but we're looking at these 2 ladies like, oh, okay, well, it's them. It's their show. It's them. And for the rest of this In Vogue story, that's kind of like how it plays out. It plays out always Cindy and Terry, Cindy and Terry, Cindy and Terry, Cindy and Terry, without it being without anyone ever saying who would take, the lead or responsibilities when it comes to certain things in the group. Forget that. But then when you have lives released, and Dawn is singing the lead or co-lead with Cindy. Oh gosh, I never know how I'm going to say this, so it's what it is. Oh gosh. you almost get get in your mind that Dawn is an afterthought because you see or you have seen what Cindy can do, and Cindy does it well, right? She shows up and she shows out, right? So we're already fixated on her. So for me, when I hear Dawn and Lies, I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, she sounds good too, and she looks good too. But I'm not thinking about Dawn as far as like she is the it factor in the group. Now that I bring this up, if I'm thinking about Dawn as not being the it factor in the group right now, then if Dawn is the one in the group who sounds like from the very beginning with all of the interviews that she has done, it almost sounds like to me then, here's what I'm going to think. Well, Dawn, we can replace you. Okay, well, yeah, I know. Terry showed up late. It was probably going to be you that was going to sing Terry vocals if Terry was not in the group and it was just Cindy, Dawn, and Maxine. But you know what? We got Terry and Cindy. So if you're shaking up things around over here, we don't have to really take you seriously, Dawn, because it's what it is. You know, we know right now where our superstars are. It's those two. You see? So then what are you saying over here, Peppy? Well, I'm saying at this moment in time, they've already probably got their sights on who is the breakout. It just sort of kind of happens. Whether intentionally or unintentionally, that's how it looks like it's playing out. And so now you don't have to worry. You have Don't Go that is released. Interesting that we also have Maxine, who's on a song called Silent Night on their Remix the Scene record. And while I don't remember that record getting any airplay, but I wasn't heavily listening to the radio once I started collecting music. You know, I was not heavily into the radio as much because I almost had I almost had all the songs out, you know, so I didn't have to listen to the radio. But anyway, but that's what you get. So you get Maxine singing Silent Night, and you go, wait a minute, but she's singing Silent Night. Why? She's been told that she can't do certain things, but she sounds great. She is singing lead on some songs. So now that we have the Born to Sing album, what my fear here is that if I look at the overall performance of that album, when I consider all of the songs on the album, this is just my personal taste. I would say vocally, no, I would say my favorite song on Born to Sing would be Dawn Robinson's Waiting on You. I love the song. It is so sensual. It's one of those songs, you know, and Dawn sings it so well, you know. So it would be that. It would be Waiting on You would be my favorite song. So the two standout vocalists, interesting. See, I never know where I'm going to go. So the two standout vocals on Born to Sing would be Terry and Dawn. I like Don't Go. I like Just Can't Stay Away. I like those vocals. If I'm going to listen to a song, you better believe it's going to be Don't Go, Just Can't Stay Away, Waiting on You, and that Forever, you know, it's a bop. Hold on. Because that just sounds great. So do you see where I'm going with this? So do you see how all of this comes into play where you have the four ladies that we are so used and accustomed to All right. Terry and Cindy looks like they are the breakout divas in the group. You know, the ones that everybody is just totally, I'm not going to say taking a liking to, because some people say, no, Terry and Cindy were not my favorite when they first came out. You know, you have to think that Dionne and Maxine from the very beginning had their own fan base. I would like to think that there's some people out there saying, no, I like Maxine, or I like Dionne. Do you see where I'm going with this? I'm just talking about my perspective. So we have all of these things at play. And we have Dawn, so to speak, behind the scenes rocking the boat. I think that in of itself is enough to say we're pushing you kind of to the side. Pushing you to the side. We're not going to listen and pay you any attention because you're not Cindy and you're not Terry. And at this moment in time, I would say take it personally or don't take it personally. At this moment in time, you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking is that you just hadn't proved yourself enough yet, Dawn, in the group to have that kind of star power where you can call those kinds of shots. Now, had it maybe been Terry or Cindy from the very beginning rocking the boat, I would like to think that some people in their camp probably would have paid attention. And we all know these stories in these groups, I don't need to go down the list of them, but I will say it just like this. There are some groups out there where they have said, well, you know, they gave this person a little bit more money on the side, or they gave this person a little bit more opportunities, or they promised this particular person in the group this. And so for that reason alone, that person, we couldn't come together as a unit because that person was like, hey, it is what it is. You know, I'm good over here on my end. Like it or not, as I said, it's a setup for success and to fail, for you to succeed and fail at the same time. Now, if I understand this correctly, now, okay, so hold on. Let me not jump. So we see these four beautiful ladies. They look good. They sound great. They present themselves well. They dress great. Wonderful, good music. And as I said before, and hold on to this, in Vogue is the group you have to see, smell, taste, and touch. That's what it is. If you're missing one of those components of In Vogue, you could possibly fall short in whether or not if In Vogue is your favorite group or not. Okay. And basically, they're all over the place, you know, for the most part. Now, if I understand this correctly, when the ladies of In Vogue come off their tour, they really didn't have much of a break. I think as soon as they came back, you know, they got the phone call and said, hey, you guys, you know, come on, we're going right back into the studio. And that's what they did. They went back into the studio. They went back in to record their second album, the Funky Divas album. And from my understanding, and as I said, I don't say things, you know, that have not been said out of the lady's mouth or out of the person's mouth, or that I have not read in publications when it comes to interviews. These ladies were pretty much given the same advance that they was given when they recorded the Born to Sing album. I don't know. That advance, you know, some have speculated that it was like a $2,000 advance, so I'm assuming they gave them another $2,000 to record the Funky Divas album. You know, at $2,000 a piece, you know. That's what, 2,000, 2,500, whatever. Okay. Now, that's neither here nor there. But they go back in, and this is where I'm going with this. So they go back in, they record the Funky Divas album. And as they're recording the Funky Divas album, the thing that I like most about this album is that now we have Dawn and Maxine out front. And as we have Dawn and Maxine out front, this is the part where I guess Dawn comes into her star power, her celebrity status, you know, where she's out front and she definitely is taking what most people would say center stage. And we love it. Okay, I don't know if it was intentional or not. I don't know if they went in and said, let's pair up, let's make these, let's give Dawn and Maxine a shot at it. I don't know. And here's the reason why I say I don't know. Because the song Yesterday on that album, Funky Divas, Yesterday, for whatever reason why they didn't choose to release that, I'm not quite sure. But I think if they released Yesterday as the first single from the Funky Divas album, we would still have that concept in mind where there's Cindy. You know, she's the lead in the group. Which, this is interesting about this dynamic when it comes to En Vogue. What's interesting about the placement of En Vogue, when you see Terry and Cindy together, and they're like two peas in a pod, whether they're up front or if they are in the back, those two ladies are always comfortable. Do you understand what I'm saying? They're always, it's kind of like a wild card with these two ladies. They're very, very confident. They come off very sure of themselves when they're performing. It's kind of like unbothered. You know, it's almost like, well, I mean, girl, that's your turn. You know, and it's kind of like, we cool with it. I mean, it's your turn. Do what you do. You know. Oh, and we back here. We know we got to do our shoot oops and shoe bops and all that stuff. So you're good. And then when it's their time, that's where they are. They're up front. So, but it's interesting. I don't know if one could say that Terry and Cindy are in on something that the other ladies are not in on. You just don't know, okay? But that didn't happen. Yesterday, as strong as Yesterday was on that album, okay, they did not release it. It was My Lovin'. Now, at this moment in time, I'm here to tell you, I don't know what En Vogue did with that My Lovin', with that Funky Divas CD, but they definitely took some steroids, all right? Because, again, I said it before, I say it again, the Funky Divas album is pretty much Born to Sing on steroids. And you go, whoa. And now you have Dawn and Maxine out front. And this is where these ladies shine. This is the part of the En Vogue story yet again as it relates to Dawn Robinson, where if you had any doubt, right? If Dawn was not my favorite, well, I'm not gonna say my favorite. If I was not paying a lot of attention to Dawn, even when she was leading the song Lies, I'm saying to myself, like, whoa. Now I'm saying it's you. Now I'm saying it's Maxine. And what we get now with the ladies of En Vogue, we get the total package. We know what Terry can do. We know what Cindy can do. We know what Dawn can do. We know what Maxine can do. We know what these ladies possess. We know what they bring to the table. It is solidified. So if a third album was supposed to occur, then at this moment in time, we know that these ladies, with the thanks to Tommy and Denny, have been set up to become megastars as far as singers are concerned. Like, they were definitely, say what you want to say, but they were definitely about to be that it girl group. See, what En Vogue did in the beginning to me is that they set up the stage. They laid the blueprint. Tommy and Denny laid the blueprint out. And they don't get enough credit. And that's why I'm always talking about Tommy and Denny and my favorite diva of all, A'ngela Winbush. They never get this credit. So I will talk about it until I'm gone, right? They never get the credit for it. You know, You got L.A. Reid and Babyface getting credit for all these things. You're getting Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis credit for all of these things over here. And for whatever reason, whenever we hear about these girl group stories, especially girl groups of the 90s, now everybody is pretty much, yeah, En Vogue. Yeah, we like En Vogue. And I've told you about how I think about them, these other girl groups, when they say that. Definitely they were competing against them. But for whatever reason, Tommy and Denny have not been credited as saying, like, wait a minute, man, y'all really biting off us. Like, yeah, we were biting off what was back there in the past, but we took it and we fine-tuned it. We polished it up a little bit, right? So anywho, so that's what we get. It should have been set up for total success. But it didn't happen, as we know. So when Dawn comes out with the single, giving him something he can feel, when you see this lady performs this song, if you had any doubts about Dawn, it's all been laid to rest. It should be laid to rest. That's it. She is definitely diva personified now, you know. And I'm looking at it and I'm saying to myself, like, whoa, like Dawn, you know, like, power to you, Dawn. And then it looks like, I'm not going to say it fades out, because it doesn't. Because all of the ladies show up and show out on the song Free Your Mind. It is my belief, my theory, that, oh gosh, I don't believe I'm saying this, but we're going to say it over here. I just never know what I'm going to say. I think Terry and Cindy are the safe ones. They're the safe ones when I talk about the middle of the road. They're safe. They're the appealing ones. They are the ones who, you got the look. You have the right attitude, probably. You have the right temperament. You go along with the program type of thing. All of those things that make you just go down what we would call the straight and narrow and go with the flow. But for whatever reason, I don't know if you call it marketing. I don't know if you call it the songs. I don't know what. And I'm talking about the Funky Divas album. But it sells more records and it sells faster than the Born to Sing album. There's no denying that that Maxine and Dawn are the ones who are pretty much the ones who are standing out on all of the songs that are released. Which means if only a million plus people knew them in the past, now we got anywhere between 4 to 5 million people now know them. And just like when the ladies of En Vogue came out in the beginning, and everybody thought that they had, and it was like all eyes were on Terry and Cindy. If that album, Funky Diva, sells more and faster, and the Funky Diva songs are all over MTV and VH1 and all over that, then there are millions of people out there who are checking for Dawn, and they're checking for Maxine. Just like I was when they first came out with Hold On, and I'm like, oh no, it's Cindy and Terry. Because En Vogue is a visual group. You have to hear them, see them, smell them, taste them, touch them. Interesting. Very interesting. See, you never know. I never know where I'm going, because this is not what I was saying in the last video that I took down. And if that's the case, if all eyes are on Dawn, if all eyes, let's say, they're on Maxine, then yes, Dawn could leave the group and become successful. See, it's at this moment in time where it's at this moment in time where Dawn is the threat. She's the threat. She moves from a place of being an afterthought. Oh, okay, she's in the group. We're not. You know, see, Dawn would be Bobby Brown. Dawn is the Bobby Brown of En Vogue as it relates to the original four. She's Bobby Brown. Get her out the group. She's messing up what we have going on over here. And if she continues down this path, she is going to put us all out. She has to go. It's not whether or not if we love her or not. She's definitely a threat, good or bad. Because she knows who she is now. And we can't put her in her place. That fucking Divas album, selling all of those records, getting all of those MTV Video Music Awards, more than any other girl group. The Grammy nominations, all over the place. Yes, I'm here to tell you now, she has moved up front. She's up front so much so that all eyes are definitely on her. And it's even. So then it's like En Vogue, the supergroup that they're about to become, they would become if they released a third album together as the original four. But now we see who they are. Interesting. So a 7-year, 1992, a 5-year hiatus with Terry going her way to do an album is what it is. We're not talking about that. But with her going her way to do an album, to them coming back together as the original four, to have the song Don't Let Go Love, it was like perfect for them to return, and then to return where you have 4 African-American women in a group, and you have 4 African-American women in a movie. 8 beautiful African-American women. All right, 8. Of all shapes and all sizes. Beautiful. Perfect combination. Oh yeah, this is perfect for you ladies to do this. The visual thing again, because we are visual when it comes to En Vogue. Hear them, see them, smell them, taste them, touch them. And we're probably not thinking about it, but I thought about it a little bit when I was like, oh, it's four ladies in the movie, it's four ladies in the group. That's cool. And it's rock, the song. It's rock, it's pop, elements of R&B. The song, Free Your Mind, and I say this again, that helped these ladies cross over is the same song, same style of song that brings them back to the forefront. 1997. Or was it 1996? I'm talking about the movie Set It Off. I think the movie came out. No, it was 1996. Take that back. It was 1996 when Set It Off came out, and En Vogue released their album in 1997. But still, perfect. So now that I think about this, if we go from the very beginning of this En Vogue story, if she, Dawn Robinson, if she was the one in the group who, she's saying, hey, I was saying this from the very beginning, but they do nothing. They do not kick her out this group. She's not a threat at all. So if she's bringing it up to them and the ladies are saying X, Y, and Z, if they're saying X, Y, and Z, and they're kind of brushing her off, not taking her seriously, she's still in the group. Isn't it interesting that you kick her out the group, allegedly kick her out the group? She says she left because they gave her an offer that she was like, I'm going to refuse. That you get kicked out the group at a time where your popularity is as big as almost the group. Now, I know a lot of people like probably saying, I know that Dawn Robinson definitely has her share of haters. But you cannot deny that. See, there's one thing to belittle someone. Well, no, I'll take that back. It's one thing to say, well, you're not my cup of coffee. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're not my favorite drink. It's just what it is. Like, you're good, but you're not my. It's another one to belittle someone and to put somebody down. That's a whole nother story. So she has her share of haters, of people who want to put her down, but she might not be your flavor, and that's understandable. But there's a difference, as I said, her not being your flavor and you just being a hater. So basically, yes, I'm saying what I'm saying, and that is that you cannot deny Dawn's star power at this time. To kick her out the group at a time where the group is definitely the it factor. It's like, oh no, we are not you over here, not you, Dawn, not you, Dawn, not you. Not you. No, who? You? No. You're going to mess it up. You're going to mess this En Vogue thing up. Interesting. So, of course, as we know, Dawn goes out. Now, this here is probably in the story of Dawn Robinson, and I got about a good 7 minutes. I'm not going to be able to finish in 7 minutes, but what I would say here is that this is where some people can say, well, those haters can say, aha, see, we told you you were the problem. Because we look at all of the things that Dawn has done after the fact, after she leaves En Vogue, after she comes in and she comes out. We look at Dawn in that way and we go, see, you're the problem. You can't stay in the groove. You can't do the recording, situation things. You're not touring. You're not doing any shows. Like, you're not doing anything, period. Like, and see, a person such as myself, I'm saying to myself, I'm like, baby, like, En Vogue's catalog, your music that you've done with other artists and just you, period, like, that's a show. I've said it before, I say it again. There's nothing wrong with Dawn, except for she just doesn't have the right team. If she has the right team, yeah. But anywho, so she exits the group. She has some success. She has some success with who? What? I think the first thing that comes out, was it Lucy Pearl? No, it wasn't Lucy Pearl, was it? Was it? No, it wasn't Lucy Pearl. Was it? What's the name of that movie? Life? Maybe it was Life. What did Dawn Robinson do? What was the first thing she did after she leaves En Vogue? I can't remember. But anyway, she does some things, okay? She leaves the group. I think, now that I think about it, hold on, let me just throw out a couple of things real quick. She leaves the group, and I guess she was signed with Aftermath, right? Supposedly. She was signed with Aftermath. And she was supposed to have done some things with Dr. Dre. And that never came to fruition. But now, here's a little tidbit about that particular situation. When we think about Dr. Dre and all of his other artists who did come out and who didn't come out, right? They pretty much all have said the same thing that Dawn is saying. There are a lot of artists that have worked with Dr. Dre, and they say the same thing. He didn't have much time. He likes to do it this way, so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. So you can't knock her for not having any material coming out on Aftermath. There's a lot of artists who are saying that about Dr. Dre on that label. So it sounds like she's legit. And then she has the firm, the group, the Firm Biz, right? I think, who was it? Nas and who was it? Foxy Brown and so on and so forth. And that record comes out. And when we see Dawn in it, for those for the En Voguers who are fans of En Vogue, and now Dawn has her fan base, we're like, oh, okay, Dawn, we see you, you're doing it. But for whatever reason, that album, The Firm, right, did not meet sales expectations. It was a great album. I think that album probably sold gold, it went gold. But at the end of the day, you know how record company feels about artists and their gold albums of sales anywhere between 500,000 copies to 999,999. Like, they look at them like, oh, it's not a million. And for an artist, a producer such as Dr. Dre, for an album to go gold, for an album to go platinum, they're looking at it like, no, this was not a success. Do you see what I'm saying? So she finds herself in that particular category where you're having some success, right? She's had more success than any other ladies of En Vogue individually, right? When it comes to album sales, for the most part of work she's done. And yet it's kind of like, oh, okay. So then after she does that with Aftermath, right, she goes on over to, I don't know. I'm just going to throw some things out. I'm not quite sure the order. I know she shows up in Life. And you know how Eddie Murphy feels about the ladies of En Vogue. He definitely loves the ladies of En Vogue. They have even appeared on one of his albums back in the mid-90s. I think the song was called Yeah. So they have appeared on one of Eddie Murphy's albums, you know. So she worked with Eddie Murphy. I'm not quite sure how they came about with her being in life, but she's there. So, you know, she has a cameo appearance in that. Then she says she has a deal with RCA Records. And then with RCA Records, as she's beginning to work on an album, she is offered the Lucy Pearl. She said it's a one-off album deal. Well, I want to do this. And you have your management and people saying, well, now we probably really and truly need to focus on this. And Dawn is like, no, I want to focus on this right here. This has been a great opportunity. I could do this real quick and then go back into the studio. A good team of people. So if you have the right team on your side, then the right team of people on your side will be able to say, well, let me see what I can do. You know, maybe I can convince the record company that this is a good idea. Maybe we can set you up over here for Lucy Pearl and kind of convince the record companies like, hey, this is going to be a great opportunity for her. And when she comes back in, this is only going to broaden her fan base and everything. And she can come back in. She's not committed to this album, but it's just a one-off album deal. And then I think she releases her album, right? Or she releases the album first. She eventually releases an album. That album doesn't do well at all. It doesn't. It's not like it's one of my best. It's not. It's in my catalog. I mean, in my music collection because I'm a fan of En Vogue, and so I have it. And that record doesn't do well for her. But at the end of the day, you know, it's just one of those things that kind of do happen. And so then we find Dawn in and out of En Vogue. And when the deals is not right in her eyes, guess what ends up happening? She leaves, she's blamed. But get this, Dawn leaves, she's blamed, and the things she says are the same things that the other lady says happens. This is not a good contract for us to sign. No, we shouldn't sign this one. No, but I think we really need to sign it. No. And then they sign En Vogue, and then they end up getting sued. I don't know. I'm going to wrap it up here. And I'm not quite sure what my final thought is going to be about this. I guess when I think about all of this, and I try to be a person who's pretty objective, with the understanding that there's always a backstory. Don't we just love backstories? And people can say, oh, well, this happened and that happened and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I understand. But I also say that the devil is also in the details too. It's just an interesting. I know I got quiet. So if I've gotten quiet, that means let's not force this any longer and simply say, you guys, thank you so much for watching over here. And if you made it to this part of the video, then I think it's okay to ask you, go ahead on, and if you like this video, hit the like button as well as subscribe to the channel over here where we talk about my R&B divas and other things as well. Do that for me, please. I appreciate it. And not only that, remember, put your behind where your heart desires to be. And also, whenever I leave my mother's presence, she always says to me, baby, remember, I love you, but God loves you best. I love you guys out there, and thank you so much for your support. And I am also looking forward to seeing you next video. And until then, you guys know what to do. Take care of yourselves.